Hey there, I hope you're having a beautiful day. I'm Lacey Verbick and I'm here with my favorite flamingo, Becky North. How's it going, Becky?
Lacey, it has been the most interesting week. We were just talking about the weather and how we had a beautiful 74-degree day, and the next day it was 40.
Uh-huh.
So gotta love the Midwest. But yeah, it's been a fun week. And I'm gonna, if it's okay, my highlight of the week is I was doom scrolling the internet. Don't recommend, but I think that we all do it. And excuse me, but I saw this little video clip of Coach Andy Reid from the Kansas City Chiefs leading up to Super Bowl week. So it was like opening night of Super Bowl week, which I guess I didn't realize was the thing, but it was. And do you know what, Lacey? He was wearing a flamingo shirt. And
Oh, you
I
showed
definitely
me.
snapped that picture. Yeah, and I sent it to you, and it has just brought me so much joy this week to know. Yeah, just to have that flamingo sighting. So yes, I am. It was fun. It was fun for me. How
Well,
was your week?
that's a killer flamingo sighting, maybe the best one ever. And thanks so much, Andy Reid, for sporting our brand over there. Best of luck in the big game. So that's awesome. Yeah. Speaking of, man, I'm looking at my computer screen right now, and it says cold weather now, and
That was
I'm like,
bullshit.
uh huh. Yeah. Thanks for the reminder. So yeah, definitely still the case here in Indiana. Though we did have, gosh, I think we had a 40 something degree day and then a 60 something degree day this past week. So that's amazing. And yeah, my birthday week was last week, and boy, was it a wonderful, wonderful week full of all my favorite things. I know y'all can't quite see my dress here, unless the fullness of my dress, unless you're watching us on YouTube, and even still, you can't see it all. But I got a wonderful new dress for my birthday, and thank you, Mom. I love it. I'm super comfy and feeling pretty today. So yeah, just glad to be here with you, Becky, and ready to tackle our question this week.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a question from Galdina G. Oh, what a pretty name, Galdina. And she asks, how do you stay connected with girlfriends when you're in different stages of life? I'm married without kids, and I have several friends that are married with kids, and even in different time zones. Ideas on how to stay connected in our friendships? Oh, yeah. Yep. 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 We got a lot of ideas, I'll bet. Becky, you
Oh,
want to start?
I bet we do. Yeah, and I just want to say this is a great question. I want to I'm going to bounce back and forth on kind of I think the perspective that I am shifting, and so I want to start with like motherhood is such a beautiful thing. It is, but it's also messy and complicated, and it's much bigger than we think it's going to be. And especially like when I had my first kid, and then no, it was with all three of them because they were all so blazingly different. But um, it it was very isolating, right? Like, but I
Mm,
think with my first son, I had a lot of friends who didn't have kids. I had a lot of this, and um I think I had like this mourning of that could no longer be me, right? And
interesting.
the going out late at night and the doing those things, like it was like one day you just that door closes. And um that is something, right? Like it really is. And so I want to say just thank you for this beautiful question because um I don't know that I've ever looked at it from the other perspective. As much as I hate to say that, I don't know that I've
Mm,
ever looked at it as like, oh gosh, I had friends who may have been like feeling similar things to our relationship just from the other side. And
mm.
um man, that's really thoughtful. So I don't know if you have anything to add to that part, Lacey, but that was really kind of the first thought that popped up for me was just this awareness that I had not had before.
Yeah. Well, of course you would. Of course you would tune right into the highest and best learning from her question. I think that's That's right on point for you. And I can say that I resonate deeply with what you said as far as when I think when I became a mother, it was sort of like, yeah, a little, grieving sort of who that woman was and embracing who this new mother and woman is. And yeah, I did. I mean, I don't think it's intentional, but um perhaps natural,
Mhm.
the sort of just the way life's intended in some way, that we just get ready for that, right? And we just kind of say,
Yeah.
well, it's probably not going to be the same as it was, and well, that's okay, because here I am choosing to bring this life into the world, right? Or here I am
Yeah.
preparing for that. And yeah, I think I've kind of maybe been on both sides of the been on both sides of this a little bit, because one specific friend of mine I can think of right now had her babies, started having babies 6 months before I did. Had her first child 6 months before I did, but we were otherwise sort of very aligned with life milestones and things that we were doing, and we're very close. We still are to this day. So blessed. And she, like, I was the friend. I was on the receiving end when she had babies before me, and I'm sure she received a lot from me when it was my turn, right? Or didn't receive
Yeah.
received a lot of different energy and different engagement from me when it was my turn. And you know what? I think it's a natural part of life.
Mhm.
It's a natural part of life, so it's not necessarily something to push against or fight against, but I certainly I know that it's worthwhile to pour into those relationships, right? And even if it
Mhm.
feels less important or a lower priority, because you have these other, bigger, um, more pressing things going on. So
Yes.
yeah, yeah. But I wrote, as I was thinking about her question and kind of making some notes, I came up with all sorts of ways that I've done it. I wrote down all sorts of things that I've done that have led me sort of back to that really important friendship connection. So I can't wait to hear what you have to say, but I'll let you start.
Yeah. So for me, the first one, because I have kind of a list too, so maybe we can ping pong and just
Yeah,
go off of each other. But
for sure.
for me, and also, sorry, for those on YouTube, I keep forgetting we're on YouTube. I'm just playing with my putty. It's just so anyways, squirrel. For me, I think and this kind of goes back to when my kids were littler, right? Because not as many people want to like stop by and see your kids when they're old and sassy, right? Like, but
Yeah.
when they're young and cute, people want to see like your kids, right? So, um, I don't know if this applies in this situation from this listener to the question, Galdina, but like I know for me, when I had friends who had kids, I was probably guilty of like going over and I just want to hold the baby and I just want to do this. And um after being on that side, right, and feeling like I was showing up, because I don't ever feel like I was like, oh, I this relationship is hard. That for me specifically, I don't know that I really felt that with my friends having kids, but um as a mom having kids that were little and cute and people wanted to see, I wish that we would have had separate time, right? And I don't necessarily mean
Hmm.
like away from each other, but like please don't say you're coming to see me if really you're coming to see my baby.
Oh, girl. Yes, yes, yes. I had that experience so many times, and it was so hurtful to me.
Yeah.
And the other person, as you kind of alluded to, didn't mean to, right? Didn't mean for it to
Right.
be hurtful. But yeah, I guess I was probably a little needy, right? Maybe, I mean, maybe postpartum stuff going on, right? Whatever it is, I feel like that the mothers are a lot of mothers, I think, have the experience of feeling unseen
Mm-hmm.
when
Yeah.
and under supported when there's excited visitors coming to Google and oogle all over the babies. And you may have had a very different experience with that, and I hope you did. But for me, it was definitely well, I'm a center stage kind of personality as it is, in case you can't tell. So, and maybe a little needy myself, high maintenance maybe. Um, but I felt like I wanted visits for me and my baby, and I didn't get that, and that was hard at the time,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was my first thing on my list. What was yours,
Yeah,
Lacey?
yeah, really good point. I wrote down. Hmm, I wrote down focus less on your different stages and more on what makes your friendship great.
Mm,
Like, yeah, you're in different stages, and you know what? That's all right.
yep.
You know, the, it, we're all at different stages. And guess what? We're always growing and we're always changing. So, truth be told, we're always going to be at different stages. Always,
Every
right?
time.
I mean, here I am, Becky and I, for example, Becky's over here with, young kids doing all the things, spinning all the plates, school age kids. And here I am with older teenagers in perimenopause. Okay. Like we're all in different stages.
Hmm.
And that's the nature of life, I think. And so instead of feeling like you don't have permission to access them because they're in some various other stage of life, what if you just said, heck with that? I'm gonna pour into a friendship that's important to me to make it great, and I'm gonna not worry about that crap. And think about things like why you became friends in the first place. Like, you know, what attracted you to this person, or what attracted them to you, or how did you, over what common interest did y'all meet? That kind of
Hmm.
stuff. And brainstorming around ways to connect, based on that, not based on, oh, I'm not a mother, or oh, I, haven't had kids, or oh, I am not married, or oh, I'm young and married and they're old and married, or, you know, on and on.
Yes, I love that. That really ties in a lot to kind of one of the points that I had, and that was like, and listen, I am a firm believer of this, whether or not you have kids or not, right? Like, if you care about somebody and they're on your heart, just check in with them, even if they don't respond, right? Like, and I do that a lot. Like, hey, I know you're
Yes, you
probably
do.
busy. Like, right? Like, hey, I just want to remind you you're amazing, right? Like literally whatever's on my heart in that moment. Um, because sometimes that may be all I have to give in that moment. And a lot of times when that happens, that person needs to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in a friendship with anybody, I think like we should be willing to pour, right? We should be willing to pour because sometimes we pour more and other times we take more, right? Now, I will
Yes.
say with that, like if you are in any type of relationship where the only thing you ever do is pour and you don't receive, maybe you need to look at that a little. But I don't think it's always 50-50, right? And so you may be going through things in your personal life where they're going to pour into you and they're going to show up for you, and they could be going through things where you pour into them a little bit more. And I think that like gosh, if we just let go of the, well, I haven't heard from them, or they're busy, or there's this going on, or there's that going on, and you just send a voice note, or you just send a text message, or hey, I heard this song on the radio and it made me think of you, or any of that, because I know when that happens for me, I'm like, oh man, the joy that that brings me in that moment. And a lot of times, listen, I'm so happy that I set down my phone and I don't even reply, right? Because it's like, oh, I want to be in this right now.
Mm,
So, like, yeah, that's probably my next thing is like, just don't be afraid to pour into any relationship. If they're on your heart and they're on your mind, and you don't get a response, does it matter? Like why keep that to yourself if they're there? Just go ahead and share it, right? Because you're going to feel good about sharing it, and I promise
Yes.
it's going to impact them well. And if they don't say anything, then it's no different than you just not saying anything at all.
No, I couldn't agree more. And Becky, I don't think you give quite enough attention to the last point you made, which was receiving. That you, when someone does this to you, right? That there's a there's a practice, there's an art of receiving, right? And it
Mhm.
doesn't always have to be acknowledged right away. It doesn't always have to be a 5-line text message response to let them know how thorough you are, right? Sometimes it can just be, oh, that filled my cup and I needed that, and off we go. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It Yes, you want to be polite, gracious, yada yada. You want to show up for that other person, but you also, you your willingness to pour into them is should be balanced out by your willingness to receive and
Yes.
accept the love,
Yep.
right? The That the other person is pouring into you. And I think you, Becky North, are like the best person. You are the best example of this that I can think of.
Oh, well,
And
thank you.
I love that about you, and I'm proud of you for doing it, and it makes a difference, and you know that I'm saying
Yeah.
it right here right now so you can hear it again. And I think that I have related to this. I have struggled with feeling like a bother. I don't want to, I don't want to waste their time. They don't have time for me. I don't have anything important to say. That's a big one for me. I tend to get wound up around, oh, I'm just that they don't need to hear from me. I just talked to them 3 weeks ago. you know um I know she's got a lot going on, right? I had all the head trash, right? All the things going on in my head about why reaching out didn't make sense. And I allowed myself to be estranged from a lot of my friends for a long, long time because I thought I was doing them a favor by leaving them alone. And what I thought I was doing is allowing them to have space. What I thought I was doing was not being one more thing tugging on their consciousness, right? That was
Mhm.
my intent. But the the outcome was loneliness and separation.
Yep. I
That was
think
the outcome.
that is such a valid point, Lacey, is like
Where'd I go? Peekaboo.
I
Sorry.
think as
Go
no,
ahead.
sorry. I think as sorry, I was just downloading. So as women, I'm just gonna say as women, right? Like there sometimes tends to be a lot of shame, right? And maybe my house isn't the way that I want it to look, and maybe things aren't going just right. And maybe my kids are always loud, and maybe there's this, and maybe there's that, and maybe I don't have anything important to say, and maybe I did just talk to them, or maybe I'm being needy, and we put this like we fill. I want to be conscious of my language. Sorry, guys. But we there have been situations in which the shame pot is just filled, right? And um so like twofold with that is A, if they are truly your friends and they truly love and care about you, they're not going to care if your house is perfect. They're not going to care if your kids are loud. I mean, they might, but they're going to tolerate it, right? Like they're not going to care like if you just talk to them. They're not going to do that. And like we talked about in our last episode the about what we can control, like it's not fair for us to assume how they're going to react. right? It's not fair for us to assume how they're going to react. And on the flip side, being a good friend means that like we should also, and I have been totally guilty of this in the past of like I could see that somebody was struggling maybe or doing this, and instead of stepping in and being like, "Hey,
I see
like
you.
pattern interrupt," right? Like that I just kind of stood back for the same reasons, right? That same like, oh, it's not my battle. If they wanted my help, they'd ask me for it. If they, and I'm not saying like jump in and save, be the hero, right? But it is okay to be like, woohoo, I'm here. I just want to remind you, right? No matter what, I'm here, right? Or for like a real life situation for me, I had a friend whose significant other was sick this week, and our daughters danced together, and her son had basketball at the same time, and she's like, I'm just wondering if you can help. And she continued to be like, I'm sorry, I don't want to be a bother, I don't want to be a bother. And if you're listening, I love you and you're not a bother, right? And like I had to say that. I was like, if I couldn't do it, I would say no. Like if it was a problem, I would tell you, right? So like if we just don't dance around, don't say yes when we shouldn't, and like we honestly support, but I like stopped that. I don't want to say shame or guilt or whatever because I don't want to apply feelings to
Well,
that person, right?
it's a pattern, Becky.
Right.
That's
But
all it is.
if
It's a
we
pattern.
stop that pattern and say, "Hey, whoa, remember, if I couldn't do this, I wouldn't." Right? Like I would say something if it didn't work, or we would find another way or something like that.
Mhm.
We can reaffirm that. So like let's like this is feels like way left corner, but like there's so much going on in the world right now. So much happening
Yeah.
everywhere. And I think that everybody like kind of feels this like woo, right? And like, what if we just let go of the guilt of wanting to ask for help or wanting to connect to people and just did it? Like, what if 2025 was just the year that we let go of guilt and shame? Like,
And let them think whatever they want.
yeah, let
Reference
them.
back to last week's episode, right? If you think
Absolutely.
I'm needy, that's fine. I'll
That's cool.
let you, right?
I am
You think
needy.
I'm calling you too often? Well, let okay, you know. And but I had so much
Mm,
awareness, anxiety, stress around not applying my needs to other people's
yeah.
lives, that I extracted myself from their life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's not good for anybody. It's not good. It's really not. It's
It's
especially not good for the person who's been extracted.
yeah.
Uh, so, and fortunately, I have three amazing keystone friends that I couldn't live without, that have never let me not show up in their life.
Mm,
And they've never, they've always continued the conversation, even if they didn't think I was ready, or even if
yes.
they didn't think I wanted to. They showed up for me, and I didn't God. I did I didn't realize how important, how mm, how much my separation by choice contributed to less good mental health. I can't think of a better way to say that, right? It contributed to mental
The
health
spiral.
struggles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over years and years and years and years. And it was by my own making.
Mm,
And now I've done a lot of healing work, and I recognize that had I had those friendships, had I allowed those channels to stay open, had I been ready to receive that love, I would be, well, 10,000 miles ahead, probably, right? Of where I am right now, but where I am right now is perfect in its own right. But yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine a different life experience
Yeah.
had I not done that, made those choices, and um yeah. And looking back on it, it was it was a form of like it was a form of protection, right?
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
was it was like, let me build a box around myself and no one can hurt me. No one can touch me. No, if I don't invite them, then they're never going to hurt my feelings,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Except no to all of that. No to all of that.
Yes. I
Mm.
will like listen, I just want to say, no matter who you are, where you are, what you've done, like in those moments, right? We're all doing the very best that we can in that moment, right? And awareness always comes after,
Yeah.
right? Like it always
Yeah.
does. That perception comes after, and sometimes it's right after, and sometimes it's years and years later, right? And that's
Yep.
just part of growth and evolution and all of that. And like just goodness, if we just lead with love, right? Like I have it like written big across my page, like lead with love, right? Like if we just lean in,
Yes.
who cares if you have kids or you don't have kids? Who
Yes.
cares if you're married or you're not married, right? Like those people who love so deeply that they're not just your friends, they are your family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I am very blessed to have a handful of those in my life. And, like I've mentioned my daughter dances and she's taking this tumbling class. I promise this is related. It seems like I'm squirreling a lot today, but I promise it's related. She's taking this tumbling class and she's been working hard on her back bends and she has been terrified of them. And a couple weeks ago, we're driving in and, um, and I'm like, honey, the floor is padded and like we've practiced and she can do it. I want to be really clear. She can do it. I've seen her do it. I've witnessed it. Like she can do it, but it's not like perfect yet. So I was like, tell me, honey, what's the very worst thing that could happen? And
Yeah.
this girl, she's like, well, mom. And she says it this fast. So I'm going to like pull the mic in. I'll go ahead and pull the camera in too. So that way you can, right, close up. She goes, mom, I could fall. I could hurt my head really bad. I could have to go to the hospital. I could need surgery and I could die.
Okay.
I was like, honey, you went all the way there. like, like, and we talked about like the likeliness of that not happening. Well, on Monday night, she has a couple of friends that we have made over, and I have some mom friends there and two really, really good mom friends, but one of them happens to be a nurse. So Nurse Lauren, if you're listening, we love you.
Shout out.
Shout out. But she Nurse Lauren is not there every Monday because she's a nurse and sometimes she works. But Kinsey shows up differently on tumbling classes when Nurse Lauren is there because she
Ooh,
knows that Nurse Lauren would save her life.
interesting. Okay.
Like she's like she would help me if I was hurt. Like
Goodness.
I would help her if she was hurt. But Nurse Lauren, like she's she would help me, mom. And
She's not
she
wrong.
shows up differently, right? Because Lauren has shown up not only in my life, but in my children's life with love, right? And they know that she's a safe place, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
what if we could have the courage of that same 10-year-old little girl and with the people that we love and we care about with our relationships, whether they're like intimate relationships or friendships or even our relationships with our children? What if we could just show up like that, knowing this person fiercely loves me?
Yeah.
They fiercely love me. And so it's okay if I fall and I break my neck, right? because which I don't want anybody to fall and break their neck. But like metaphorically, it's okay if I trip on my face. It's okay if I fall off the treadmill. It's okay if I'm in pajamas and I haven't washed my hair in 7 days. It's okay if really what I need you to do is hold the damn kid so I can go shower, right? Like what I need you to do is sit down and drink a bottle of wine with me. What I need you to do is help me escape for a little while, right?
Yep.
What I need you to do is sit in bed with me when I cry and eat ice cream and watch junk TV. What I need you to do maybe is just be present and not say anything at all. No matter what that is, this person fiercely loves me, so I'm safe to do that.
Mm, love that. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel that way about you.
Oh, well, thank you.
I
I feel that
I
way
really
about you
do.
too.
Yeah. And I I wrote down as you were talking, and I want to shift into this other I want to shift into one other point here, but I want to say this out loud, maybe even a couple of times. In your friendships specifically, but all relationships, allow yourself to feel great.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Allow yourself to feel great.
Mm-hmm.
You deserve that.
Yep.
This is not something you earn. This
Mm-hmm.
is something you are given and worthy of, and you deserve to feel great. But
Yes, ma'am.
you have to choose to allow it,
Mm-hmm.
to receive it, right? It
Yep.
it it's no good to you if you can't receive it. And you can
Yes.
turn this around and send it out to the other party in your friendship or relationship, that I say things to you, I do things for you, I meet with you, I send you gifts because I want you to feel great.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What if that's the benchmark for all friendships, right? That we both want to feel great, and that we can support each other in feeling great
Mm-hmm.
if
And
we allow.
yes. And can I say it's also not a fucking competition?
Oh, mm-hmm.
Girl, your wins are my wins. They are not my losses,
Yes.
right? Your victories are not my losses. They are my victories. My wins are not your losses. They are your wins. It's funny. There's a post coming up before this drops. So, anybody who's listening, let's see if you're paying attention. That now I'm like, oh gosh, I should have moved that. Like, I didn't even know we were going to talk about this right now, but I should have saved that for this week. But, like, I will celebrate with you. I will love with you, right? Like, allow yourself to do that. Allow yourself to be in happiness and even if there's sadness with them, right? Because those are the things that like form those deep, deep roots of connection.
Yes.
That is what's real, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got the promotion and I didn't. You know what? More work for you, but I'm celebrating you, man. Like, right? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be a competition. It's not keeping up with the Joneses. It's not.
No, it doesn't have to be.
Mm-mm.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're so right, Becky. Yep. And like good examples, this past week, Neva, my daughter, had she had done a video piece for a state government agency back when she was finishing high school, and had won a nice award. They asked her if she would be a spokeswoman in a video, and it was a really exciting opportunity at the time, and she was pretty nervous about it, pretty excited, but we got her all set up for it, and she went and she did the shoot, and she came home like, oh, I think it was good, mom, da, 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 and was something she did on her own. I was at work, and it just now like came out of production, so it's been what, a year and a half or something. I guess they're just now ready to roll it out. And I sent the video, my daughter sent me the video, and I was of course overflowing with pride and excitement, and I sent the video to Becky, and I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that she would celebrate my daughter's win and my pride as a parent in that moment of that outcome and that video that she contributed to. And those are the that's how you show up. That's how you build those trusting, loving, deeply rooted friendships by taking even the little moments and saying, wow, your kid's amazing. I love her. So, and what a cool opportunity, blah, blah, blah. Right. Like, I feel so celebrated by Becky, and my kids are so celebrated by Becky every time anything good happens. Right. And I have turned that around on other friends and other relationships in my life because I love receiving it so much. It makes such a difference for me energetically in life to know that someone cares about my life experience in such a deep way. So you can, I mean, try that out, right? Try it out. Try it out with your friends. When they when they send you a text and say, "Hey, this really cool thing happened," you know, make a big deal. Make a big deal about it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
don't be disingenuous, right? But make a big deal about it. Tell them how, what a proud parent moment, right, for you. And I see how you've developed this young person, and wow, look at their success, and are you are a chief contributor, right? Like, that's the kind of stuff that we don't say to each other enough. Of course,
Yep.
I'm the chief contributor. I'm her mother. But no one says, I mean, she did it, right? But I'm chief contributor. But no, but we don't say that to each other enough. We don't say, man, I see what you did behind the scenes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see I see you being the Girl Scout cookie mom that's gonna make your troop the best damn Girl Scout troop there ever was, right? Like, we don't we don't go all in. I
Yeah.
don't. People don't go all in with their love, with their friendship, with their uh, connections. I don't think we do, and I think we
Yeah.
should more.
Yes. I love that. And, Lacey, I would like to say, like, this shows up in different ways, right? Like, you can choose how that is. I have a very, very dear friend. I call her my forever friend. We've been friends for more of our life than we've not been friends at this
Yeah,
point. We have been with each other through some of our very, very best days and absolutely our darkest ones.
yeah,
And, like, even though we live 4 hours apart now, I know that I could call her anytime. And there are things that we make sure that we do to stay connected, right? Like, we make sure that even though we're in different times, we both have very busy, busy seasons of life, like, we connect on video. Right. And it's just, and sometimes I got to be honest, we're not even saying anything. We are just present with each other because that's what we need in the moment.
yeah,
Right. But, like, for instance, every Christmas Eve, because Santa knows that this mom wants to wrap the presents a very certain way, so he brings them unwrapped to our house and I wrap them. And so every Christmas Eve we have like a wrapping party. No joke. We are both drinking wine, we're sitting there, we're talking, we're wrapping things, we're probably cussing a little bit, we're laughing a lot, like
yeah,
it's just something that we do. Like, when we put in the effort, I love to handwrite people letters. Like, just a quick little, "Hey, I was thinking about you and I wanted you to know," because I don't know, there's something about getting a letter in the mail for me. I'm like, "Woohoo!" It's like a kid at Christmas,
yeah,
right? Like, because I'm like, man, they took the time to not just send me a text message, but to actually write this down and put it in an envelope and address it to me and put a stamp on it and take it to their mailbox, right? Like,
yeah,
that feels like, hey, I'm putting forth some foot of effort. And I have tried really hard for when I see people that are like maybe disconnecting and I feel like, oh, they're pulling away and I've seen that in myself, so I know what that's like. I will in a lot of cases like sit down and write them a letter then, right? Because it
Mm,
feels more and it feels like, hey, you're not forced to reply to this, but I just wanted you to know you're on my heart.
mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
I love that.
so like showing up and celebrating your friends doesn't have to be a text message. It doesn't have to be a phone call. It doesn't have to be knocking on their door. It might be getting on getting on a face call, right? It might be writing a letter. It might be, "Hey, I just ordered your family dinner."
Mm,
It might be, "Hey, there's groceries on your front porch." It might be, "Hey, I'm showing up because I know that you're really tired and I'm going to clean your bathroom." Right?
mm-hmm.
Or it might be like, hey, I brought your favorite ice cream. Let's stay in our jammies and watch Friends.
Mm-hmm.
We get
That
to
sounds good.
choose,
Can we do that?
right? Yeah. We get to
Yes.
choose. We get to choose how we pour into relationships. And I think
Yes.
that, like, generally speaking, the world has kind of put the stigma on what that means. And here's the deal is that we get to define that, right? Like,
Yeah.
we get to define that.
Absolutely. And I think it's very personal, right? It's personal between the parties, right? The people in the friendship, right? You get to decide what's okay, what's normal, what's important, what's fun,
Hmm.
right? And Galdina, one in your question, you said ideas on how to stay connected in our friendships, and you mentioned different time zones. And Becky, I had a couple things here, and I just wanted to drop them in real quick. Snail mail. You mentioned snail mail. Like I love nothing more that letters certainly would be amazing, but I love like a good card, right? Like a funny card or just anything in the mail, really. But like a really artistic kind of fun stationery or something like that. I just get such just a thrill out of old fashioned snail mail. So it's a fun way to just kind of perk someone's day, and really like do something different. So I
Hmm.
love that. Sharing reels and memes. And I know this is social media and I know this is already happening a lot for some of us, but sharing reels and memes is it's a fun way for, like, when my friends do this, like it's a fun way for us to connect over the thing that's shared. Like, for example, I mentioned perimenopause earlier. Like, one of my girlfriends sends me these hilarious memes about perimenopause, and it just lights up my day. It just makes me laugh out loud, and it's so much fun to just kind of feel a part of a club, I guess, of some kind or something, but to feel seen and to feel included a little bit. And it's just it's a fun, free, easy way to connect. And certainly, I mean, none of these necessarily are enough on their own, right? Maybe they are, depends on what the friendship or the relationship. But I feel like these are just tiny things that you can do to contribute to an overall, you know, really nice connected friendship. So the next one is send a friend. There's a website called Send a Friend, and it's the most adorable a little package of a stuffed animal. That Becky, I'm not going to explain this well, so help me out here. But it's an adorable. It's a stuffed animal of your choice, and they have, like, I don't know, like 100 different animals, and they wrap them up in pretty tissue, and they put them in this amazing box that says, like, send a friend. And I think they even put like a little personalized note in there and stuff. And it's just a fun way to, like, drop something on your friend's doorstep and just brighten their day and let them know you're thinking about them. So
Yes.
send a friend there. What was another one? Oh, Zoom lunch dates. I was laughing about this because Becky and I used to do this a lot when we worked together years ago, and we worked. We were remote. We were a remote team, and we used to do these, like, lunch dates or working meetings, as Becky called them, air quotes, working meeting.
We worked. We worked. Don't let her fool you.
We did work, it's true. But we also had fun, and it was just a nice way to connect. And we don't live in the same state. I think y'all have probably figured that out by now if you've been listening to the podcast, but we live 3 states away from each other. So, and we did then. And we have, been blessed to develop a friendship this deep and this impactful, and we don't even live in the same state. So,
Mhm.
just think about fun creative ways you can do that. Sometimes it's just about being together, and that can happen virtually. So,
Yes.
any thoughts,
Yes.
Becky?
Yeah, no, I love those. You talked about send a friend. Another one that I really love, there is like a soup company. I can't think of the name of it, but they send like soups to people and they come with like
Oh,
these really pretty
I've
ladles.
heard of this. Yeah.
And that is definitely um a great way for building connection. Um and like honestly, I think for me, like asking, like flat out asking, like, is there anything that I could do? Or do you have anything on your mind that I could keep in my prayers or my thoughts or my meditations or my manifestation circle or whatever that is for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you like what's going on in your life that I can hold close to my heart? And um like and that Lacey, I know that you've already said this, but like just choose joy, right? Like we were not meant to do life alone, guys. We
Mm-mm.
weren't. And I'm gonna like I can't believe I didn't even think about this, but when I was a little girl, my grandma used to talk about how like we she would hold up our hand and she would say, as people, we all have our strengths. Those are like the tops of our fingers, the peaks of the mountains. And we all have our weaknesses. Those are the valleys. And we need other people to help fill in where we're not strong, right? Because when we do that, it's a much more level playing field.
Mm. So
And
cool.
like honestly this isolation that we feel as a society is a like when we look in history it's a relatively new thing, right?
Yep.
So just I don't want to say choose to show up for them, but choose to show up for you because you deserve to have those connections,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
And you deserve to feel that love and you deserve to not feel utterly alone, right? There's a reason flamingos raise their babies in flocks.
Yes.
There is. And like if you feel like, man, you don't have any of those connections, you deserve to make them, right? And I know that making friends as like an adult and even more so as like a mom or as a caregiver, like maybe you have a sick partner or maybe you are new to a community or there could be a million reasons, right? But like find a reason to connect with somebody, right? Find a reason because you are worth it and because you have something so beautiful to give. You have something so beautiful to give. And yeah, I'm sure Lacey, I think I might have cut you off, so you probably have one or two more things, but
Yep.
I just want to say, Galdina, like the fact that you're even asking this question says a lot about how you already show up.
Mm-hmm.
It says a lot about you and about your heart and how you care. And I would say, honestly, the best advice we could probably give you, and we've said a lot of things on here, right? But would be like, keep showing up the way that you are.
Mm-hmm.
Keep being authentically you because that's who your friend fell in love with. That's who your
Mm-hmm.
partner fell in love with. That's who their kids probably call Auntie Galdina, right? Like,
And that's who new friends will fall in love with, right? That's who new
absolutely.
friends will gravitate towards. That's
Yes.
who uh that's who will be drawn to you and brought into your experience.
Yeah. My little girl is a huge Taylor Swift fan. And do you know there's a lot of things I love about Taylor Swift. And believe it or not, the top of it is not her music for me. I think that she's an amazing artist, but that's not really it for me. I think that she's a great role model generally. And people are good. This is going to probably cause all kind of uproar, but like, listen, there's a lot of opinions about that and that's fine. Whatever your opinion is, you're allowed to have it. But the culture of her community, right? It's all around these friendship bracelets, and they will trade them with anybody. It doesn't matter, right? Because you have this commonness. So don't be afraid to trade friendship bracelets.
Mm, I love that. Now I got to go out and get a friendship bracelet.
We'll
Way to
send
go,
you one.
Becky.
Maybe me and my daughter will make flamingo bracelets. So,
Ooh, please
yeah.
do.
So here we should do something fun with that. So if you're actually listening to the podcast and you heard this, then I encourage you to post on any of our posts on social media, and you can find us on Facebook and on Instagram. And you can just go to literally any post that we've posted and put in hashtag trading friendship bracelets.
Ooh.
And we will reach out to you and send you flamingo friendship bracelets made by me and my daughter.
It's a challenge. Are you up
It's a
for it?
challenge.
I
Yep.
love
And the
it.
the only way you'll know is if you listened.
Okay, can I play? Can I get a
Yes. Yes, we'll send you one.
Am I your
There-
friend, Becky North?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Fabulous. Well, I feel like we're wrapping this up, but I had one more little thing. Shared interests. Figure out what the shared interests are and do those things. Like online games. A lot of people love the online games and the role plays and the things. What about that? What about book clubs? I'm in a book club. I love my book club. There's like 15 women in my book club. I mean, would I say we're like close? No. But, you never know where those paths may lead, you know? Like Bible studies, things like that, right? Bond over scrapbooking. What about cooking, sharing recipes, things like that, right? These are all things that we can do at a distance with each other that that enhance friendships, build stronger
Mm.
bonds, all that.
Yes, ma'am. Agreed completely with that. Like, yeah. And you talked about online games. Did you know that there's this online game? I just feel like I'm talking to talk tonight. Sorry,
You
guys.
are,
But
girl, hit it. Let's go.
there's this online game called Tabletop Simulator.
Hmm.
And you can play things like Scrabble and Monopoly and stuff like that. So even if you are in California and you're in Florida, if those are things that you enjoy doing, it's something you can still do with the people that you want to do them with.
I love that.
Yeah.
See, Galdina, you got your money's worth out of this episode. Okay, I'm just kidding. It was free. Haha. Becky and I enjoyed this so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I want to give a shout out to those of you who have continued to listen and be loyal fans of this podcast. And we are so delighted with the community that is growing and continuing to show up and raise their hand for more of this. And I know, Becky, you feel the same. And just welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're new, welcome. If you've been with us, thank you. And we're just thrilled to see how this continues to develop. And we appreciate you showing up, and we see you.
Mm.
And I think that's all. Becky, any closing genius for the
No,
group?
I don't think so. Have a great week, guys.
Until next time.